Imagine this. You're floating gracefully through the clouds, thousands of feet above the Atlantic, in the most luxurious machine humanity has ever built. Crystal chandeliers swaying gently, the scent of fine wine and roasted meats drifting from the dining room. Laughter echoing off silk-paneled walls. Then, in a heartbeat, the sky turns orange, a roar like the end of the world. Flames racing faster than you can scream, people leaping from windows into the void. And you're one of the lucky ones who live to tell it. My heart still races when I close my eyes and see that inferno swallowing the Hindenburg whole. It was the 6th of May, 1937. I was just an ordinary passenger, excited for what was supposed to be the pinnacle of modern travel. But I witnessed history burn alive in front of me. This is my story, raw, terrifying, and unforgettable. Stick with me, because what happened that evening changed everything. It all began a few days earlier, back in Frankfurt. The morning of the 3rd of May, 1937, was crisp and full of promise. I remember stepping out of the car at the airfield, my suitcase in hand, and looking up at her, the Hindenburg, LZ 129. She was enormous, longer than 3 football fields, taller than a 15-story building. Her silver skin gleamed in the sunlight like a living creature from the future. Boarding was nothing like the chaotic airports we know today. No pushing crowds, just polite stewards in crisp uniforms guiding us up the gangway. As I stepped inside, the first thing that hit me was the quiet. This wasn't a noisy airplane rattling through turbulence. This was a floating palace. The air felt still, almost reverent. My cabin was on a deck, small but incredibly clever. 2 berths, one above the other, walls covered in soft fabric to keep weight down. A little fold-down desk, a wash basin with hot and cold running water. Everything aluminum and lightweight, yet elegant. I unpacked, hung my suit, and stepped out into the promenade. Oh, those promenades. Wide windows that opened, letting in fresh air as we cruised. You could lean out and watch the world roll by below rivers like silver threads, forests like green carpets. Passengers strolled arm in arm, pointing excitedly. Some were wealthy industrialists, others journalists, a few families like the one with the young boy I chatted with briefly. Breakfast that first morning was something I'll never forget. We gathered in the dining room, polished aluminum tables, red upholstered chairs so light you could lift them with one finger. The chef, from the Ritz in Paris no less, served beef broth with marrow dumplings, Rhine salmon, fresh bread still warm from the oven. I sipped coffee, gazing out as Germany faded behind us. Life aboard settled into a gentle rhythm. Mornings. Reading in the lounge under that stunning world map mural on the wall. Afternoons. Conversation over cocktails in the smoking room, specially pressurized so you could light up without risk. Evenings. Music drifting from the baby grand piano, made of aluminum and covered in yellow pigskin. It weighed almost nothing, yet sounded perfect. We flew at around 80 miles per hour, but it felt like standing still. The hum of the 4 diesel engines was a distant, soothing drone. No shaking, no pressure changes that plugged your ears. Just smooth, majestic gliding through the heavens. I remember one evening standing on the promenade as the sun set over the Atlantic, painting the clouds in pinks and golds. A fellow passenger turned to me and said, "This is how the gods must travel." I believed him. The crew was impeccable. Captain Max Pruss and his men ran a tight ship, yet they had time for smiles and stories. We passed over icebergs, watched dolphins in the ocean far below. Headwinds slowed us a bit, but no one minded. This was an adventure. By the morning of May 6th, we were approaching America. We flew low over New York City. What a sight. People on the streets craning their necks, waving. The Empire State Building looked like a toy. Then we headed toward Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey. We were hours behind schedule due to those headwinds, but excitement was building. Home, or onward journeys, waited below. We circled for a while because of afternoon thunderstorms. The ship swayed gently as Captain Pruss took us over the beaches to wait it out. Children pressed their faces to the windows. Stewards served light lunches. I felt a quiet thrill we were almost there. Around 7 p.m., the word came. Conditions had improved. We began our final approach. I was in the lounge, chatting with others, when I felt the ship make a sharp turn. Then another. The crew was adjusting for the wind, which had shifted suddenly. Everything still felt calm. I could see the mooring mast in the distance, ground crew waiting like tiny figures. Rain had just started light, spotting the windows. I remember thinking how beautiful it looked from up here, the field lights coming on as dusk settled. Then, at about 7:25 p.m., a jolt, not violent, but noticeable, like hitting a small bump in a luxury car. Some passengers glanced around, eyebrows raised. A steward smiled reassuringly. Just trimming the ship, nothing to worry about. But then I smelled it. A faint, acrid whiff. Like burning fabric? Or electrical wiring? I wrinkled my nose and looked at the man next to me. He smelled it too. "Is something on fire?" he asked quietly. Confusion rippled through the room. A few people stood up, peering out the windows. The ship felt heavier somehow. I heard crew members moving quickly in the corridors. Valving gas, they called it. Dropping ballast. Normal procedures, I told myself. We'd practiced emergency drills earlier in the flight standard safety. I stepped closer to the promenade windows. Below, the ground crew was grabbing the landing lines we'd dropped. Everything seemed under control. Then another small jolt, and that's when I saw it. A flicker. A tiny shimmer of light near the tail, reflecting off the silver skin. My stomach tightened. "Look," I said, pointing. Others crowded around. Whispers turned to concerned murmurs. "Is that?" It happened so fast. In seconds. A bright flash from the rear. Then a whoosh. Like a giant match striking. Flames exploded upward, engulfing the tail section. The beautiful silver skin turned black, peeling away as fire raced forward insanely fast. Hydrogen. That's what kept us aloft. And now it fed the beast. The ship shuddered violently. People screamed. I grabbed a railing as the floor tilted. "Fire! Oh God, fire!" someone yelled. Panic erupted everywhere. Passengers shoved toward the windows and exits. Stewards shouted for calm, but it was too late. The roar was deafening. A crackling, hungry monster devouring everything. Heat blasted in waves. I felt my face burning already. Smoke filled the corridors. The lights flickered and died. I don't know where the courage came from, but I pushed toward an open window on the promenade. The ground was rushing up. We were dropping fast as the tail collapsed. People were jumping. Some held hands. Others tumbled alone. "Jump!" a crew member yelled. Now, the drop looked impossible, maybe 100 feet or more at first. But the ship was sinking. I hesitated only a second, then leaped. Air rushed past me. I hit the ground hard, rolling, my ankle twisting. Pain shot through me, but I scrambled up and ran. Behind me, the Hindenburg was a towering inferno. The nose pointed skyward briefly, like a dying whale, before the whole thing crumpled. Flames shot hundreds of feet high. Black smoke billowed. The heat was so intense, it singed my hair and clothes even from a distance. Screams echoed across the field. I saw a mother pushing her child to safety, crew members helping the injured. Ground crew ran toward the wreckage heroically, pulling people out even as it burned. One man I recognized from earlier. He didn't make it. The whole thing from first flame to the ship lying in ashes took just 34 seconds. 34 seconds to destroy the pride of Germany, the future of air travel. I collapsed on the grass, coughing, staring in disbelief as rescue teams swarmed. Sirens wailed. The smell of burning fuel and fabric hung thick in the air. I survived. Bruised, burned slightly, in shock, but alive. 62 of us did, but 36 souls did not. 13 passengers, 22 crew, and 1 brave ground crewman. Families torn apart. Dreams turned to ash. I think often of the young boy I saw earlier, or the couple who toasted the future with us at dinner, of the stewards who served with such pride. Their faces haunt my quiet moments. The Hindenburg's fall wasn't just a disaster. It was the end of an era. Hydrogen airships, once symbols of elegance and progress, became too risky. The world turned to airplanes instead. Yet in surviving, I carry a profound gratitude for the beauty I witnessed in those quiet days aloft, for the strangers who helped each other in the chaos, for the fragile miracle of life. If there's one thing I learned staring into that burning sky, progress is wondrous, but nature and sometimes a single spark reminds us how small we are. Thank you for listening to my story. If it moved you, share it. Remember those who didn't make it home, and never take a single peaceful moment for granted.